president of Paraguay spoke with Edmundo González on Sunday, calling him the legitimate leader of Venezuela. And that prompted Caracas to break diplomatic ties with Paraguay. President Santiago Peña Palacios is joining us now from the capital of Paraguay, Asunción. Mr. President, a very warm welcome to our show, sir. Let me just pick up with the images that we are seeing, that we were just playing out for our viewers, live images. Of course, Nicolas Maduro's inauguration. The opposition, led by Edmundo González and Maria Corina Machado, called this a coup d'etat, called him a usurper. Just your thoughts.
Hello, Isa. It's very nice to talk to you on the show. What is happening in Venezuela is an humanitarian catastrophe. We have witnessed for years now a lot of lack of democratic values, lack of respect for human rights, basic human rights. And of course, we have been always trying to find the right path. Our relation with Venezuela has been very, very tough for over a decade. If you look backward, you're gonna find then Minister of Foreign Relations, Nicolas Maduro, coming to Paraguay, meeting with militaries to race against constitutional power. So we have a very long and traumatic relation. When I came to office in August 23, Venezuela leader signed the Barbados Accord, and they were agreeing to hold democratic and participatory elections. He did not comply, so I have been following the events since the elections of last year, and it was very clear that he has no possibility to prove that he is the winner. On the contrary, Edmundo has proven a lot of evidence that he is the right winner of the elections, and of course all the persecution that Maria Corina Machado has to go through is also a testimony of the lack of freedom and democratic values. So we need to keep pushing on this. This is not only a problem for Venezuela, this is a problem for the entire Latin American region.
We'll talk about diplomacy in just a moment. You mentioned Edmundo González. He said recently that he would return to Venezuela for his inauguration today. And he was supposed, from what I understand, to be accompanied, Mr. President, by 9 former Latin American presidents, including the former president of Paraguay, Mario Abdo Benitez. Is the plan, from what you understand, still for him to appear in Venezuela today? What can you share with us?
I understand that there are no minimal security conditions for that to happen. I know that President Abdo has been a strong advocate. He supported the Guaidó presidency, and when that was not possible to move forward, he decided to cut relations with the Maduro administration. And he was very vocal in defending democracy, and of course this is the sentiment of the entire Paraguayan population. But as long as I know, there are not the minimum security conditions for former presidents from other regions of Latin America to go to the Venezuela. So I don't think that's going to happen. I wish that there could be a normal resolution of this, and Edmundo could swear in as the legal president of Venezuela. But every element that we have now indicates quite the contrary, that the situation will continue to worsen. And there's only one way for this, is resistance from the inside and supporting from the outside.
Let's talk about that, because, we have seen, we heard Nicolas Maduro say, for third term, as I was saying to Stefano, our correspondent, 6 years, say that this would be, quote, a period of peace. That's what he said today in his long speech. That's not what we have seen, to be fair, and I've reported on this extensively over the last 10 years. We've seen arrests, we've seen repressions, millions of Venezuelans fleeing their country. So what can be done, Mr. President, at diplomatic level here, in terms of diplomatic pressure to change this? Because I know ties have, Venezuela broken ties diplomatically, but what do you think can change here in terms of diplomacy, be it with the new U.S. administration, be it with Europe or other Latin American countries?
Paraguay has to endure the longest dictatorship in South America, 35 years of the Stroessner regime. And we know very, very hard that dictators, they don't go with pamphlets and manifestations on the street. These need to come from the inside. Venezuelans, particularly on the military, they need to understand that democracy is not perfect, but it's by far the best political system. And history has proven once every time that there is a place for dictators. It's death or it's jail. So it's up to them to decide what is that they want to be remembered in the future. I can tell you, after 35 years that we have ended the dictatorship in Paraguay, democracy is blossoming, and this has proved a lot of improvement for human capital and well-being of the population. So this is something that we need to continue to advocate. It is for us, foreign presidents, to advocate for this, to use the diplomacy. Of course, the U.S. has a lot to do on this. They have the tools of economic sanctions also to impose on Venezuela and Venezuelan economic sectors. But we need to also allow for the internal democratic forces like the one of Maria Corina Machado and Edmundo Gonzalez to continue to fight from the inside and convince the majority of the population, how they did in July 28, that they need to defend the democracy.
Let's talk about that change from the inside. We have seen the UK government today announcing sanctions against Maduro. We have seen, our correspondent spoke about that, the US government announced a 25 million reward for the arrest of Maduro. And we have seen in the last few years the Biden administration as well attempting a policy of engagement that really, quite frankly, Mr. President, changed nothing. And now we have the new Trump administration coming to power this month. What do you expect to see? What would you like to see from the Trump administration? Of course, he tried a tactic of maximum pressure the first term. That did not work. So what would you like to see from the United States here?
I think that the U.S., with the arrival of President Trump, which will be now a one-term president, he has proven to be a very skillful negotiator and someone who makes decisions. We need to make decisions. I think what is different to his first presidency is the support in the entire Latin American region. We have seen, and you have reported, the position from Colombia. Also, the position from Brazil has been very, very tough on this situation with Venezuela. So I think that there is today a broader understanding that we need to solve. And if you allow me, going back to my initial appreciation, this is a humanitarian catastrophe. What we are seeing, thousands, millions of Venezuelans leaving Venezuela and arriving to all of our countries in Latin America, this is something that we need to take care of. And hopefully with the arrival of President Trump at the White House on January 20, this will make things to work much faster. I have high expectations, and I'm sure that we're going to see a free Venezuela very soon.
Mr. President, I really appreciate you coming on to talk about the developments, of course, that are happening, not what many in Venezuela wanted to see, but here we are again, and important to have your take, your analysis on this. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Aisa.
And for more